I pulled into the driveway just after 3:15 p.m. The sun was still beating down on the pavement, heat shimmering like a ghost above the asphalt. Austin in late May didn't mess around, especially not in the suburbs, where everything sat just a little too still. The kind of stillness that feels staged, forced, like someone hit pause on real life. I hadn't planned on being home early. My last 2 meetings of the day got bumped, and instead of heading to a coffee shop or wasting time downtown, I figured I'd surprise Chloe. Maybe we'd go out for tacos, catch a patio happy hour like we used to. We hadn't done something spontaneous in a while, and to be honest, I'd missed us. Or the idea of us, at least. I pressed my thumb to the smart lock. The little blue ring blinked twice, and the door unlocked with a soft click. "Chloe," I called, stepping inside. Silence. Not completely silent. There was faint jazz coming from the Bluetooth speaker in the living room. One of those lo-fi playlists she liked to put on while working. I dropped my keys in the bowl near the door, kicked off my shoes, and walked farther in. That's when I saw the jacket. A navy windbreaker, draped over the back of a dining chair. Not mine. Not Chloe's either. Wrong size. Wrong brand. I didn't recognize it, but something about it looked freshly worn. Creases in the sleeves, faint traces of cologne I didn't use. It didn't belong here, and whoever left it didn't plan to stay invisible. I stood there, staring at it longer than I probably needed to. The kitchen was clean, except for 2 wine glasses on the counter. One had lipstick, Chloe's coral pink shade she always reapplied after video calls. The other was bare. Both had water droplets beading along the bowls, the kind that hadn't yet dried. Still cold. Recently used. The sink was dry. No rinsing. I walked past the kitchen and into the hallway, listening. Still no sounds from upstairs or the back office. The air felt oddly humid. I turned left and peeked into the bathroom. Steam. Fog still clung to the mirror like breath on a window. The floor mat was bunched at the corner of the tub, and 2 towels, one ours, one beige and unfamiliar, were slung messily over the edge. My pulse quickened. I opened my phone and pulled up the August Smart Lock app. Took a moment to sync. Front door, guest code 2093, used at 1:41 p.m. Guest code. That wasn't me. And it wasn't Chloe. Not with her own profile. 2093. I remembered that one. I'd set it up months ago for a local plumber. Used it exactly once, then forgot about it. Had she reused it? Shared it? I heard the front door unlock again. I stepped back into the living room just as Chloe walked in. Phone in hand, sunglasses sliding down her nose, a slight flush on her cheeks. She looked surprised for a split second, eyes widening just enough for me to clock it. "Hey," she said quickly, sliding into her usual breezy tone. "You're home early. So are you." She gave a soft laugh, heading straight for the kitchen. "Yeah, well, the contractor came by, water heater again. You know that weird rattling sound?" I didn't answer immediately. She picked up the 2 wine glasses without missing a beat. I offered him a drink after he finished up. It was a weird time of day, but I figured, I don't know, just being polite. I nodded once, slow. "Wasn't he supposed to come next week?" She rinsed the glasses without looking at me. "He had a cancellation. I forgot to text you." Felt rehearsed. Polished in a way real life never is. I knew that version of Chloe, the one who could lie through a closed door and sound like she was telling the truth in a job interview. Cool, controlled, and practiced. She kept her back to me. "Everything's fine, though. Just a pressure valve thing." The jacket was still on the chair. "You okay?" she asked over her shoulder. "Yeah," I said. "Just tired." We didn't talk about the jacket, or the wine, or the smart lock, or the fact that there was no appointment on our shared calendar. Instead, she pivoted like she always did when something got too close. She started talking about needing to meet the landscaper next week. Mentioned that her coworker forgot to submit something for a filing. And then, casually, she asked if I wanted to go for a walk later. Said it had been too long since we'd done the lake loop. "Sure," I said. "Let's go around 8. She smiled like it was just another Thursday. By nightfall, The humidity had faded, leaving the Austin air soft and cool against our skin. We parked near the lot off Riverside and started our usual route around Lady Bird Lake. The skyline shimmered on the surface, scattered reflections of buildings and bridges rippling in the current. Runners passed us. Tourists on scooters buzzed by. Somewhere across the water, a street musician played acoustic guitar under a trail of string lights. Chloe walked ahead of me by half a step, hands tucked into her jacket pockets. Not the navy one, she hadn't brought it. She hadn't even mentioned it. It was like it didn't exist. Neither of us spoke for a while. There wasn't much to say, or maybe too much. My mind kept looping back to the clues. The wine, the towel, the phantom contractor, the guest code. My gut screamed, but logic kept trying to quiet it down. Maybe there was a contractor. Maybe she did offer him a glass out of politeness. Maybe someone left their jacket and she forgot to mention it. But that version of the story cracked at the edges the more I turned it over. Eventually, we reached one of the quieter bends in the trail. The water lapped gently at the rocky shore, and Chloe stopped to look out at the city. "I've been thinking," she said, her voice unusually soft. "About us." I said nothing. "I think we've been stuck," she continued. "For a while now. Just running in circles." Still, I said nothing. She glanced at me. "I don't want to hurt you, Adam. I really don't. You're still one of my favorite people. But maybe we're just better as friends." There it was. Not a confrontation. Not an admission. Just a detour. A subtle deflection away from the reality I hadn't even voiced yet. "You're pulling the friendship card," I said quietly. She looked surprised. Maybe by my calmness, or maybe because she thought she'd caught me off guard. "I'm saying maybe the marriage part isn't what we need anymore," she said. "I want to be honest." "You sure about that?" She flinched slightly. We stood in silence. The buzz of distant traffic and laughter from kayakers drifted by. The kind of scene that should have been romantic. It wasn't. I watched her closely. Her shoulders stayed square. Her hands never trembled. But her eyes flickered just once, when she realized I wasn't going to fight. That night, we walked the rest of the trail without another word. She thought she'd redirected the moment, that she'd done enough to plant a clean break narrative. She didn't realize I was already looking backward, lining up every strange call, every half-truth, every missing ring and late dinner and mysterious charge. The jacket hadn't been the first clue, just the last one I needed. After that walk, I stopped asking questions out loud. Chloe must have thought the friendship talk was enough to blur the lines for now. Something vague enough to stall hard decisions. A soft exit from accountability. That's how she worked. Detach first. Explain later. And by the time anyone figured out what really happened, she'd already rewritten the narrative to sound clean. But I wasn't chasing explanations anymore. I was watching. Quietly. Closely. That night, while she showered, I went through her smartwatch. She'd been disabling notifications for months. I just hadn't noticed. Messages didn't ping on her wrist anymore. Calendar alerts were all silent. The sleep tracker hadn't logged anything in over a month, which was strange, since she used to swear by it. I opened the app. Her location history was wiped. Manually. It's the kind of thing you only notice when you're looking for it. Back in March, she had suddenly insisted on privacy settings to reduce stress. Claimed she didn't want her clients accidentally tracking her movement or notifications bleeding into her free time. I believed her. Of course I did. She was a corporate attorney. Stress was part of the job. That's what I told myself. I thought I was being supportive. Now I was realizing I'd been getting shut out one subtle setting at a time. The next morning, she left early for a team sync at the firm. She kissed me on the cheek, soft, like a formality. Her wedding ring was missing. Again. I stared at the coffee machine for a long time after she left. Then I sat down with my laptop and started a list. Not dramatic. Not emotional. Just bullet points, straight facts. I called the file, Maybe Nothing. Maybe Not. The guest code used at 1:41 p.m. On a weekday she claimed to be alone. A unknown windbreaker left in dining room. 2 glasses of wine, 1 without lip color. A steamed bathroom, 2nd towel, unfamiliar. Contractor visit not scheduled. No invoice or notification. Wedding ring absent from her finger in work photo. IG story from April. A location services disabled across devices. A smartwatch notifications turned off. 5 Uber Eats charges in April to a high-rise address, not ours. A recurring charges to Studio Form Pilates. Never once mentioned classes. A Saturday nights with the girls. But no group photos, no stories, no check-ins. Frequent dinners charged to the Vesper Lounge. Same penthouse restaurant she said was overpriced. Client calls coming in after 11 p.m. Always answered from the balcony. Each one on its own could be waved away. A stretch. A misunderstanding. But patterns don't lie. Not over time. Not when they're this consistent. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I wanted the truth, not just a confession under pressure. I knew Chloe, her sharp tongue, her ability to reroute guilt like traffic around a stalled lane. She'd flip it. Accuse me of paranoia. Call me controlling. Say I'd changed. And maybe I had. But she had too. The week after the walk, I stayed late at work more often. Took on extra projects. Started going to the gym again, the real gym, not the half-hearted lifting I used to do on weekends. I signed up for morning classes. F45. Boxing circuits. I needed motion. Something to bleed the ache out of my body. Chloe didn't seem to notice. If anything, she seemed relieved. Like my distance gave her permission to create her own. Friday night, she left for another girls' dinner. Said they were going to Rainy Street. Supposed to be 5 of them. She barely made eye contact while telling me. Will you be late? I asked. She shrugged. Probably not. You know how loud bars get. I nodded. Take photos. She gave me a blank look. What? You always say no one believes you go out unless there are pictures. You should post a few. She gave a small laugh. Wow. Subtle. Then she kissed my cheek again. Same spot as before, and left. I opened the Find My app. Nothing. Location disabled. But her MacBook, that was still synced to our home cloud. I waited 20 minutes, then checked her active sessions. Sure enough, her work email was open on a guest Wi-Fi network downtown, near the Vesper Lounge. Not Rainy Street. Her calendar was blocked for the evening, labeled simply, Client Strategy Review, Offline Location. I scrolled forward a few days. On Tuesday, Strategy Debrief, Offsite. Location, Pine Hotel. The boutique one. The one I knew she had been charging meals to. I didn't do anything that night. Just stared at the calendar for a long time. The woman I married was somewhere across town with another man. Sipping wine under soft lighting, probably laughing the way she used to with me. Maybe they talked about work. Maybe about me. Maybe about nothing. And I just sat there in the home we built, playing digital detective like a coward. Saturday morning, Chloe was hungover. Claimed she drank too much Prosecco. She didn't mention Rainy Street. Didn't post anything. No tagged photos. No stories. When I asked how it went, she said, loud, fun, the usual. Then she went back to bed. By Monday, I had started rerouting my direct deposit into a private account. Not all at once. Just a percentage. Enough to start drawing a line. That same week, I disabled her access to our shared cloud drive and created new passwords for the smart lock, thermostat, and financial dashboards. I booked a second P.O. box downtown under my name. Quiet prep. Emotionally, I was already gone. I started saying less. Nodding through conversations. Smiling through breakfast. Making coffee without asking if she wanted any. She stopped asking too. One night, I asked about the Pilates studio. Oh, I haven't had time to go, she said, not missing a beat. But they keep charging because I keep saying I'll restart. You've never mentioned going at all. I did once, she lied. You just don't remember. I didn't respond. That was Chloe's specialty. Erasing reality in real time. She'd repeat something enough until it became true for her, if not for anyone else. It was how she navigated discomfort. Overwrite, redirect, Pretend. A few days later, she asked if I was okay. You've seemed a little checked out lately. I'm good, I replied, not even flinching. Is everything fine at work? Yeah. You sure? Yeah. She studied me for a beat, then said nothing. I watched her pour herself a glass of wine, red this time. Same glass as before. She never poured one for me anymore. The distance was mutual now, and I think in her own way she was okay with that, because she thought she was ahead of it, thought she was managing the decline in a way that kept her in control. Friends, she had said, as if that made it easier to justify what was already happening behind the curtain. But I wasn't going to wait for her to own it. I was going to see it myself, with my own eyes. The opportunity came in the most ironic way possible, a notification she forgot to disable. She'd synced her Outlook calendar to the family tablet weeks ago for our housekeeper to check Chloe's at-home availability. But Chloe never removed it. She thought she had. That's how I saw it. Thursday, 6 p.m. Strategy session. Pine Hotel. Room 804. No initials. No invite link. Just a blank private event tagged as offline. It lined up with a corporate party her firm was hosting the same evening. She had mentioned it offhand. Said I didn't need to come because it was boring and mostly work friends. I pretended not to care. At 6:17 p.m. I parked 2 blocks from the hotel and walked to the back entrance. I didn't need to sneak inside. The lounge was on the 8th floor, fully glass-walled, with elevators facing the lobby. I knew exactly where to stand. And at 6:34 p.m. I saw them, Chloe and him. He wore a tailored jacket and smiled like he belonged in her orbit. She reached for his arm as they stepped off the elevator. Not like a colleague, not like a friend. They paused just long enough for me to capture the scene on my phone. Her hand brushed his chest. Then his arm went around her lower back. They kissed. She laughed. Then they disappeared down the hallway toward room 804. I stood there for a moment, cold and still. Then I turned and walked back to my car, recording timestamp video the entire time. No confrontation, no outburst, just evidence. The truth delivered in full resolution. And for the first time in months I felt calm, like something had clicked into place, like the pretending was finally over. After I saw Chloe with him, the kiss, the way she touched him like she'd forgotten anyone else existed, I didn't feel the way I thought I would. No rage. No impulse to storm into the hotel and make a scene. What I felt was stillness. A cold, weightless quiet that settled into my chest like a second heartbeat. I had my answer, and I had it on video. When I got back to my car, I didn't sit and cry. I didn't scream or punch the steering wheel. I just watched the footage once, then backed it up to my cloud. I named the file Exit. Then I drove home like it was any other Thursday night. The house was empty when I got there. Chloe had left a single text. Event ran late. Probably going to crash at Kayla's. Don't wait up. Love you. Kayla, of course. The same coworker who'd supposedly been hosting girls' nights for months. The same one who had moved to Denver in February. I didn't reply. I just sat in the living room, lights off, scrolling through the photos on my phone. A slow-moving mosaic of truth. The windbreaker, the wine glasses, the calendar entry, her laugh at the hotel as she walked away with him like I didn't exist. And in that moment I decided I was done. Not just with the marriage, with the narrative, with the pleading, the rationalizing, the waiting for people to admit who they already showed me they were. That night I made a list, a real one. Not of doubts, I was past those. This list was logistics. I called it Separation Phase 1. Redirect payroll to personal checking. Update security settings on all shared accounts. Remove her access from smart thermostat, door lock, cameras. Set up P.O. box for mail. Forward statements to new address. Create second cloud backup, revoke hers. Cancel joint Netflix, Spotify, Hulu. Start fitness plan. M/W/F strength. T/TH cardio. Meet with attorney next week. Quietly file for legal separation. To notify HR of address and tax status change. Disengage emotionally. Stay calm. Stay clear. It was clinical, not spiteful, and it gave me a sense of clarity I hadn't felt in months. Over the next week, I put it into motion. I moved into a short-term rental across town. Furnished, minimal, anonymous. A clean slate. I didn't tell Chloe right away. She barely noticed I was packing. She thought I was traveling for work again, and I let her believe that. I didn't slam doors. I didn't take everything. Just the essentials: laptop, clothes, a few books. I left the ring in the bathroom drawer. Tucked it beneath a folded towel like a quiet middle finger to the version of her I had married. She texted me once while I was packing. "Can you grab oat milk on your way home?" I didn't respond. When she got back the next morning, I was already gone. The first few days in the new apartment were quiet. Too quiet. But that was the point. No passive-aggressive silences. No overcompensating small talk. No waking up wondering if I was the backup plan to someone else's main event. Just me, a foam mattress, a mini Keurig, and a Google Calendar filling up with back-to-back gym sessions and freelance side work. My body ached in good ways. My mind didn't. I ran 3 miles the second day. For the next, I started sleeping better, deeper. I stopped checking her socials. I removed her from my emergency contacts. Then I blocked her on Venmo. She still had no idea. No confrontation. No moment of discovery. Just distance. Measured and deliberate. I told my attorney I wanted to file discreetly. I wasn't seeking drama or revenge. Just clean separation, swift and fair. We set a timeline. "You want to serve her personally?" he asked. "No," I said. "Mail is fine. She won't be expecting it." Good. Chloe reached out 5 days later. First, it was small things. Innocuous. "Hey, the Apple TV login isn't working. Did you change it? Did something happen with the garage remote?" Then came the first real shift. "Hey, is everything okay? You've been distant lately." I didn't reply. Later that night, she sent me a photo from her college days. One of us at a music festival. Sunburned, smiling, sharing a snow cone. The kind of picture she used to keep as her lock screen. I miss this version of us. No apology. No mention of the hotel. Just a nostalgic postcard from a life she burned down. That's when I blocked her on iMessage. Email stayed open. For now. Strictly legal matters. The following week, I met with a trainer. Told him I wanted to drop 15 pounds, build muscle, and clear my head. He didn't ask why. He didn't need to. I started meal prepping, cut sugar, joined a climbing gym, found a new barber, even reconnected with some guys I hadn't seen since college. People Chloe always said were too immature or a little exhausting. They were loud, honest, blunt. Exactly what I needed. One of them, Marcus, looked at me halfway through a beer and said, "Dude, you look different, like a guy who just broke out of a hostage situation." I laughed harder than I had in weeks. I told him he wasn't wrong. 2 weeks later, Chloe emailed me. Subject, "Just checking in. Hey, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from right now, but I've been thinking about you. I know things have been weird lately, and I don't know what exactly happened, but it feels like you've already left. If that's what you need, I respect it. But can we talk? Even just as friends? Please let me know. Chloe." She always tried to use soft words to avoid sharp consequences. But I wasn't playing her game anymore. I didn't reply. Instead, I sent the separation paperwork through my attorney. No note, no explanation, just the facts. Filing status, financial details, timeline. The same way you'd send an invoice to a client who stopped paying their tab. 2 days later, she called from a different number. Didn't leave a message. The silence between us finally felt real and permanent. 3 weeks in, the fallout started hitting her side. I'd heard, through a friend of a friend, that the firm was conducting a quiet compliance review. Something about inappropriate contact at the corporate party. Chloe had been seen in photos cozy with someone on the partner track. Same guy I saw at the Pine Hotel. Apparently HR flagged it. Her promotion got delayed. She wasn't talking about it publicly. But the whispers were there. Her name came up in legal circles with caution now, not just admiration. Then came the real twist. She reached out again. This time she asked for a favor. A character reference. Subject: weird request. Please read. I know things are complicated between us, but HR is asking for personal references during this review process. Not work-related, just character witnesses. If you're willing to write something, even just a short email, I'd be incredibly grateful. I understand if not. I closed the email. Didn't even finish reading it. I didn't respond. She had spent months crafting an exit from our marriage while keeping me on emotional standby. Now she needed me to vouch for her. The irony was almost poetic. A few days later, her mother reached out, through Facebook Messenger of all places. Said she was confused about what had happened, that Chloe was hurting, that she thought I had just walked away without warning. She asked if we could all talk. Maybe just clear the air. I replied with a single sentence. Ask her about room 804. Then I blocked her too. I was done playing footnotes in the story Chloe told other people to feel better about what she had broken. I didn't know anyone closure, especially not the woman who only came back once the affair fell apart. Because that's what happened next. I found out again, not from her, that things with her former colleague had fizzled. Something about him not wanting complications. Or maybe it was just the reality setting in that side stories don't make good long-term plots. She was alone now, and I wasn't coming back. Not for talks. Not for coffee. Not for closure. The final message came a month after I moved out. It was handwritten, delivered via courier. No return address. Inside, a photo from our wedding and a note. I was wrong. You were better to me than I deserved. I thought I needed something else, and when I lost it, I realized I had everything already. I'm sorry, Adam, for all of it. I just didn't know how to stop until it was too late. If you ever want to talk, you know where to find me. I folded the note, put it back in the envelope, and tossed it in the shredder. Because the truth was, I didn't know where to find her. And I didn't care. There's a kind of silence that doesn't feel empty, just earned. That's what the apartment felt like after Chloe stopped trying. No more emails. No more blocked number voicemails. No more I miss us nostalgia grenades tossed into my inbox. Just quiet. I'd sit at the window some nights, legs kicked up on the sill, reading with the lamp low, a record playing in the corner. A new rhythm formed. Not rushed. Not filled. Just lived. I didn't check the clock. I didn't reach for my phone waiting on a text. My heart didn't jolt every time someone said her name in passing. She was becoming background noise. And I was learning to like the quiet. The legal side of things moved faster than I expected. My attorney called one Thursday morning. She signed, he said, flipping through papers in the background. No contest. Looks like she wants this over just as much as you do. I knew that wasn't true. I'd watched the arc. She had wanted something different, excitement, maybe, escape. Some version of herself she thought she'd lost in marriage, mistaking commitment for confinement. But the man she betrayed me for? He wasn't a finish line. He was a detour. And now that he'd taken the first off-ramp, she was left holding an ending she never planned for. That's the thing about cheating. It's not just a betrayal. It's a bet. And she lost. A week after signing, Chloe reached out again. One last message through a mutual friend. Ben, a guy from her law firm I only ever knew through her stories. We'd met maybe twice at firm events. He DM'd me on Instagram out of nowhere. Hey Adam, sorry to intrude. Chloe asked me to pass something along. She said you blocked everything. Didn't want to step on boundaries. Just wanted you to know she's not doing great. I stared at the message for a long time, then replied, she's alive. That's enough. He didn't respond. I didn't expect him to, but part of me knew that message would get back to her word for word. And I wanted it to. She needed to understand that there was no soft landing waiting. No emotional layaway plan. No leftover loyalty she could dip into like a savings account after burning through the trust. About a month after the paperwork was finalized, a courier arrived at the rental. Same guy who delivered the last letter. This time it was a small box. No name on the outside. Just my address, written in her handwriting. I didn't open it right away. I placed it on the counter and stared at it like it was radioactive. I knew what it was or what it wanted to be. A symbol. An olive branch. Something she thought might reopen a door she had sealed shut with her own hands. I waited 2 days. Then I opened it. Inside were 5 things. My old watch. The one she had gifted me on our 3rd anniversary. Engraved on the back with, "So you'll always be on time for me." A copy of a photo we'd taken in Rome. Us beneath a string of lights at a courtyard restaurant. Wine in hand, the kind of happiness that used to feel permanent. A single sheet of paper. No greeting. No signature. Just a quote. Sometimes people don't realize they had something real until they lose the silence that came after. Unknown. My wedding ring. Polished. Clean. Placed in a velvet pouch. A key. To our old house. She didn't include a note. Didn't explain. Didn't apologize. She was hoping I'd interpret the objects like a map back to her. I didn't. I boxed it all back up, resealed it, and returned it to sender. Same courier. Same silence. She never tried again. That's when I knew she was finally telling herself the truth. There's this lie people repeat after a breakup, especially a divorce. It's not personal, but it is. Infidelity isn't an accident. It's not a scheduling error or a phase. It's a conscious choice to place someone else above the person you promised to protect. And it doesn't just break a heart. It breaks structure, time, memory, safety. I spent weeks trying to figure out what I could have done differently, where I might have made it easier for her to talk instead of lie, where I missed the signs that someone else was moving in behind my back while I paid the mortgage. But I stopped asking those questions, because they weren't mine to carry. She had agency, and she used it to prioritize a thrill over stability, novelty over history, herself over us. By the time she realized what she lost, I wasn't standing where she left me. I was already moving forward. Life didn't become perfect. It didn't become a montage of revenge fitness or perfect dates or aesthetic Instagram reels set to acoustic folk songs. It just became mine again. I started running every morning. Same lake trail. New pace. I replaced the couch we picked out together with a leather one I'd always liked. I started reading more, not self-help books or closure guides, just novels. Stories where other people's problems lived far enough away to let me breathe. I cooked again. Real food, not grief meals or takeout. I taught myself sourdough even though I used to roll my eyes at people who did. It gave me structure. I reconnected with an old friend from college, Julia. We started getting lunch every couple weeks. No pressure. Just talking. She knew about the divorce but didn't ask for the details. Just let me be. I didn't realize how rare that was until I had it again. She didn't try to fix anything. She just sat with me. That was enough. Eventually, I sold the house. There was no reason to keep it. Chloe had moved out already. The room still smelled faintly like her shampoo, and I wasn't going to be the guy who walked past ghost furniture every day pretending I was okay with it. I didn't even tell her when I listed it. Didn't need her permission. Didn't want her closure. She found out through Zillow. I know because she texted me from a burner number 2 weeks later. Saw the house is on the market. Hope you're okay. I blocked the number. Again. The listing got multiple offers in a week. I took the one from a couple with a baby on the way. They smiled the entire time during the walkthrough. I didn't. Not because I was sad. Because I was done. By fall, everything Chloe had touched in my life had been boxed, sold, or erased. Our mutual friends had picked sides, or quietly ghosted out of self-preservation. I didn't chase them. If they couldn't sit with the truth, I didn't need them cushioning the lie. My new place wasn't huge, but it was sharp. Clean lines, neutral colors. Mine. Every object in the apartment had a story I knew the full length of. No question marks. No ringless photos. No guest codes waiting to be used. And best of all, no one pretending friendship was a band-aid for betrayal. I didn't miss her. I missed the idea of her. But that wasn't real. What was real was the man who finally walked out of the fog. Not raging, not begging, not chasing, just free. Here's what I know now. If someone wants to be with you, you won't have to decode them. If they value you, you won't have to spy, investigate, cross-reference. If they love you, they won't make you feel like you're hard to love. And if they betray you, the truth doesn't need to be screamed. It needs to be accepted. Quietly, completely. No more rewrites. No more waiting. No more dragging your worth back into the room where it was left behind. There's only one thing to do when someone shows you who they are. You leave the door open long enough for them to walk through. Then you close it behind them, and you don't open it again. I never thought I'd be the guy rebuilding a life from scratch. Not in the poetic movie scene way. Not the everything happens for a reason cliché people post under sunset photos. Just real rebuilding. The kind where there's no applause. No clear destination. Just one small, quiet decision after another. But here I am. No longer waiting on texts that won't come. Not staring at empty doorways, wondering if she's walking through them. Not asking how I got here. I know exactly how, and I've stopped asking why. Because there's a point when the why stops mattering. You start healing the moment you stop giving betrayal a second audition. It's been over a year now. Chloe hasn't tried to reach out again. I think she finally got it. Not through anger, not through retaliation, but through the absolute absence of me. The silence that stayed when the lies stopped spinning. In the beginning, I thought I needed closure. I thought I needed her to own it, say it out loud, give me the confession in the exact way I'd been imagining. A tearful apology, an admission that she had tried to replace something irreplaceable and failed. But that never came, and I'm glad it didn't, because if I had waited for her to say the right thing in the right way at the right time, I would have waited forever. That's what they don't tell you. Closure isn't something you get. It's something you choose. You don't find it in